Okay, so hello, I would like to welcome you again. My name is Ola Kot, as it was said before. Here is my presentation about typography and space and the relationship between these two aspects. So I will start with the first one. The first aspect of my presentation relating to my experience in researching the relationship between typography and space is a project for the Warsaw Rising Museum. In 2015, the museum decided to commemorate the civilian victims of the Warsaw uprising and arrange a spatial installation with their names on it. The data collection of people who died in Warsaw Uprising was created thanks to many years of research and archiving work at the Warsaw Rising Museum. The work continues and data is constantly updated. I collaborated with my friends on the project, graphic designer Justyna Czerniakowska and architect Michał Paszke. The starting point for designing the installation was the Excel list of civilian victims of the Warsaw Uprising provided by the museum. The list included the names and surnames of the victims, as well as the date of birth and place of stay or residence. Here you can see the list that is really, really huge. There were nearly 60,000 people on the list. In addition to the Excel list, we were given the place where the monument was to stand, which was a long park alley near the cemetery. And the name of the exhibition, which was Keep Them in Our Memory. All these given components brought us to mind the idea of a candle. We naturally associated the candle and light with commemoration. The sorting form of the column candle allowed us to compose the data from Excel list in a clear way. To emphasize the importance of this installation, we decided to give the columns a height that will arouse respect among visitors. On the other hand, when setting the height, we were limited by the legibility of the content. In the end, it turned out that 3 meters high will be the most suitable. Here is the implementation of that form. The columns are made of plexiglass and illuminated from the inside. That is the view from the beginning of the alley with over 90 columns. So the installation here is in the night. The columns are lightened. The installation was well received, and since then the exhibition has been created every year in a new form supplemented with up-to-date data. These are the authors of the exhibition installation. So we'll come to the second aspect of my presentation. That is a very different situation. So the second project I would like to present shows another aspect of the relationship between typography and space. The starting point for the project was an architectural monument, the cinema. This is Illusion Cinema, formerly Stolica in Warsaw, photographed in 50s. The building was designed by Mieczysław Piprek and was completed in the half of 50s. The cinema is located in Mokotów, which is now a very fashionable district of Warsaw. It houses many hip and ambitious cultural institutions. At the end of the 90s, the building was taken over by the National Film Archive and the Illusion Cinema was opened there. The condition of the building gradually deteriorated. So, the cinema was about to be shut down eventually and completely refurbished. The task was difficult because the building was entered on the list monuments and its renovation had to be carried out under the supervision of the conservator of monuments. The revitalization project was carried out by Żeratul Architecti Studio. And the icing on the cake of the renovating building was to be a new neon sign, which was to be a showcase of the cinema. The task of designing the neon was entrusted to me. So the starting point for me was an already existing building which deserved respect for being entered on the list of architectural monuments, and the name of the cinema, Illusion. So illusion is an old Polish term for cinema. It comes from the word illusion. I started working on a project. So the shape of rotunda on which the neon was to be placed turned out to be very problematic. I knew that the neon sign to be placed on the rounded plane required a simple design. Initially, I wanted the neon to be a modern and simple form. But the very clear rhythm of the pilasters dominated the design I proposed. Therefore, I decided to emphasize this rhythm with a simple and narrow lettering. However, I wanted to refer to architecture even more and also create a more distinctive sign. So I decided to be inspired by the most characteristic part of the building, which was the rotunda, and make the O round. Ultimately, I decided to create an illusion effect and move the O above baseline. So when choosing the color, it turned out that none of the traditional neon colors matched the color of the rotunda stone. So I decided with violet. And here is a little bit about the construction, because the neon tube is traditionally placed in boxes that protect the tube from damage. But since I didn't want to overwhelm the building, I chose to keep the structure as light as possible. Therefore, it is an open work. Here are some photos of the lightning neon. So the cinema is located in Mokotów, as I said, and there is a cafe garden in front of the cinema, and it is a place for many social meetings. The neon is appreciated, and the biggest compliment to me is that a lot of people think it was always there. So that means that it fits. And here is the third aspect of my experience in studying the relationship between typography, this time translated into three letter forms, and space. It is an interactive installation. Act. For the purpose of creating this installation, I arranged the gallery space into a stage on which the viewer was moving. And a long roll of fabric was pinned together to form the word act. I wanted the material of the installation to be soft and floating. By creating an installation from a single piece of material, every movement was transferred to the whole. And the most important for me was its interactivity with the viewer. I organized the letters in such a way that everyone could choose their own path of movement along them. As a result, the paths of movement followed by viewers resembled tense notations. But the direction of the movement was motivated not only by its own choice, but the choice of path by viewer, but also provoked by the slight movement of letters induced by the small Arduino controlled motors. The motors pull the strings gently from time to time, moving the material and provoking the viewer reaction. This way, a mutual relationship was created between the viewer and the installation, in which the action provokes reaction. There is a reason the name of this installation is ACT. So the project is a part of a larger whole that I'm working on, which aims to explore the relationship between typography and space, movement, and choreography. Here are some stills of that movement. I couldn't include the movie in that, but that's all for now. Thank you very much.